Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career, with a little self-help along the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, people of the world. It's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Philter. I'm joined by a special guest. Actually, it's very interesting. I met this brother in NACE, the National Association of College and Employers. He's a higher ed professional, black male, Jonathan Segers. And now, funny, we met online, but we in real life. We're in real time. He's all the way from Washington University. Don't get it twisted, for University of Washington. And he's here handling business in the DMV, and we chopping it up. And he's joining me on the podcast, so I'm really excited about it. But Jonathan, give the listeners a little bit of who you are, your background.
Absolutely. Phil, thank you so much for having me, man. So my name is Jonathan Segers. I'm a higher ed professional. Been working in talent development going on about 6 years after, actually on and off. Spent some time in financial services. By the time I was 25, I had my bachelor's degree, 4 insurance licenses between property, casualty, life, and health. And then also I was a loan officer within 10 states as well. So I'm usually the youngest in the room. I'm used to that. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And I always say, your identity is not what you do, it's how you show up. So I'm from St. Louis, born and bred. I like to say I'm Bison strong. I attended Howard University. So
okay. So you know about the DMV. Okay,
yes,
got
sir,
it.
Yes, sir. And then I graduated from University of Missouri, Columbia, as we officially call it in Missouri. So well-traveled brother, knowledgeable brother, and it's a pleasure to be here.
So, I mean, you look young. I'm older than you and washed. So you said you had a little bit of a career before you transitioned to higher ed?
Yes, sir. So fresh out of college, and even it's ironic being in the talent development space, and ironically during the political times that we're in, because when I graduated, that was the first kind of the first rendition of kind of what we're going through right now, and I had to learn how to pivot.
Okay.
So anytime I speak with students or I'm in front of students, I always encourage them to look outside the box, as well as consider all options inside the box.
So you were in the financial sector for a little while, and then you were, when you say talent and all that, you were working for like corporations, helping them recruit on that end. And then did you do this transition during COVID?
That's a great question. So we can go all the way back. So I got my first job when I was 17.
Okay, let's get it. Yep.
Yeah. So started our first job when I was 17. I was a full-time collegiate student, and also I worked 40 plus hours a week. And I was heavily involved as well.
All at Howard, doing all this at Howard.
Initially at Howard, and then when I transferred,
Gotcha.
I did all this at Mizzou as well. And
okay.
So, I call it my first big boy job was at Veterans United Home Loan. Shout out to VU.
Okay.
And I started part-time in the call center. And after like my 4th time making a lead for like over $1 million, I had to get in on action. And so, long story short, they were piloting an internship program.
Okay.
And also I was earning my bachelor's in political science. So financial services was nowhere.
That's right. It was different. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I worked for former Congressman Lacey Clay during a pivotal time during the ACA negotiations as well. So all over the place. That's actually kind of like a running joke in my office of like, what haven't you done? And
You're like a Jamaican. You got like 20 jobs.
I feel I'm
yeah. But, okay. So you're very jack of all trades.
Yeah, jack of all trades, and I try to master all of them. And so the gist of everything that I've done has really been, and I just had this conversation with my wife, lead generation, pipeline management, and then also with different opportunities. So when I was an undergrad, I was a team lead for an AmeriCorps organization. So I had to hire people, had to learn how to hire, had to learn how to interview. And then also when I worked at Chipotle full-time, when I was a full-time student, I was
hiring people, managing staff.
Yeah. To manage people. And I also was the person in charge of terminating people.
So you did the hard stuff too, HR stuff, kind of.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Sorry, pack it up.
Yeah.
Put your apron back in the locker.
So the phrase we used to say was, "You've been promoted to a customer."
Yikes. That's like kind of the saddest way to go out.
That's like saying it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, that's wild. So you had all this transition, and then let's elevate the story to how did it go to higher ed?
Yeah, so what I like to call them, I had a bridge career in K-12 education.
You've done everything, dude.
I know. Had a bridge career in K-12 ed before here. I was at St. Louis Public Schools for 2.5 years as a senior generalist, and so I worked on the recruitment team, but also there was some talent management. There was some, as a lot of people like to call, human capital management, right? So basically,
it's HR.
Yeah, okay. Shifting people from one place to another place. I didn't terminate people, but I was in charge of hiring people, especially non-certified staff. So that gave me crash course. And a lot of people say, like, 1 year as a public defender is equivalent to 3 years as a private attorney. Well, in K-12 education, 1 year of K-12 education is equivalent to like 3 years in the private sector. And so I was able to hone in on some skills, also with professional development as well, really helped launch me into where I am now. I actually recruited at WashU as...
You was the opposite end. Yeah, you was on the other end. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the kind of the customer side, right?
The employer side, yeah.
Now I got to see behind the curtain. And I've been there since April. Amazing opportunity. And
wow, very fresh, like April of 25.
25, absolutely, yeah. So so far, so great. Have an amazing team, an amazing cohort. And then on top of that, being in an organization like NACE, I get to reach out to awesome people like you and have different conversations like this to sharpen skills. That's all I'm about.
Skilling. Yeah.
Skilling.
Upskilling. I mean, I think that does speak to being a jack of all trades, is that, like, I think about the T chart of skills, right? Like you have a broad skill, but then you deep dive into something. And so for me, what I'm hearing from you is that you have all these like people skills that are very broad, hiring, firing, all that, but then you deep dive into like certain career development.
Oh, yeah.
But this T will allow you to like go to other industries. Like if you're done with higher ed, you still can go back to talent, go back to business and all that stuff. Was that something you were always thinking about? Like you were just a Renaissance man, bored, like I'm ADHD. So I say right now, I love to learn new things. I get a tinkerer, but like, what about you? Like growing up, was that always, I had to do different things. I just can't be one person.
Yeah. So growing up, I was not, I like to call it the working poor, right? Like, so your family is wealthy enough to live poor amongst wealthy people, right?
Yeah.
That taught me how to pivot. Watching my parents really hustle, right?
Yeah.
In St. Louis, you can't spell SD. You can't spell hustle without the STL, right?
Is that like a Nelly lyric? What is that?
Nah, I mean, we just saw this question. I think I read that on a T-shirt.
All right, so in that,
I learned how to hustle at a young age, and then with that mindset of like, okay, hustle, but okay, not hustling in the sense of surviving, right? So how do we get in? How do we learn what we need to learn? But then it might be a little bit of neurodivergency, right? I get bored easily. So,
I want to try something new.
Yeah, now I want to try something new, and also sometimes opportunities is ripped from underneath you, right? I got laid off before I turned 30, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's real.
Graduated in the time period that I graduated in, a very volatile market, still a very volatile employment market. So as we say in St. Louis and many places, right, you got to keep your head on the swivel, right? You have to be able to pivot and also network. I'm huge on networking.
Social capital.
Absolutely.
Also, basically, we're already talking about human capital and social capital, but also combining that social capital and human capital with your skill set, right? Like, I can name drop 1,000 people, but I ain't got no skills. It don't mean nothing. But if I got 1,000 skills and don't know nobody, so I see that perfect synergy.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a great flow, because I think before we decided, we said, we were going to talk about New Year, consistency and all that. But what I'm hearing is a lot of themes is that, like, it's almost like being consistent, but then not burning yourself out. Man. And I want to get right to it, because you said hustle You're talking about the generational watching parents hustle. So what would you say to a young person that you said, right, you got to get out there and hustle, but do it wisely? Because I could see us hustling ourselves into the grave.
Brother. So I've been reading this book on and off for the past year. Don't laugh at me and spit out your coffee. But it's The Purpose Path by Dr. Nicholas Pierce. And so he's an organizational development professor at Northwestern. And the Purpose Path really talks about one, owning your purpose, owning your path, and one, you listen to people. Or my mom used to tell me all the time, and my dad used to tell me all the time, is that you when people give you advice, or when people tell you, what to do, what not to do, you eat the meat, you spit out the bones, right?
Yeah.
I don't try to take advice from people that I wouldn't trade places with, but sometimes there's hidden gems, and sometimes what some people may call country logic, right? Or street logic. But that is the gist of it all. Really just knowing, hey, this is meant for me, or someone told me this is meant for me, and knowing the difference between the two. Yeah.
So then from what I'm hearing from that is then taking advice, making sure you're more discerning about taking advice from the audience, but also making sure that you're not over consuming advice. But then also at the same time, I think that the flip side too is also making sure that you're working hard, but not overworking, right? And so I think a lot of the theme I'm hearing is a moderation, right? So how would you tell someone to be moderate in that regard?
It's all about working smarter and not harder, right? So you have to find out what that looks like to you. I'll even kind of go to what we kind of call the circle of kind of the student at WashU. One of the main things we encourage students to do is you have to learn yourself. You have to explore what you like, right? Not what mom and dad told you.
Yeah.
Not, what a mentor or a boss told you that you're going to do. You have to really soul search. You have to find your purpose, and you also have to figure out what your values are and go from there.
So then what is your thoughts on, like you said, we talked about being consistent, right? And being, I think you're layering. Your journey was always picking up something and things rolling over and letting things go. So thinking about the past year that you just had, what are some new things that you picked up, new goals, new things that you want to be consistent rolling into 2026? And what are some things that you're thinking about letting go?
I'll start with one, reading. Because if you want to hide something from someone, you put it in a book, right? So one, reading, and fine tuning, as you said, that social capital, right? So if someone is in my life, they have to serve a purpose, and it doesn't have to be this grandiose, purpose, or how can I serve thee? No, it's one of those situations of as I'm mature, I'm done collecting people, because with more people comes more drama, more things. But when you have people who are like-minded, they have kind of the same values as you, and also their strength and diversity as well in a friend group. But it does start with one, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals.
So how are you doing that this year? I guess obviously joining NACE, but how are you making that systemic about your social capital?
Absolutely.
What some systems you're putting in place?
So I'll say reinforcing existing relationships, both professional and personal, that I've realized has served me over the years. And then also with relationships that are kind of fizzling out, replace those with new relationships, like the one I'm building with you, right? I've never stepped foot on George Mason's campus, and I went to Howard, right? But now, because I built Bridge with you, I now have a connection to George Mason. So it is as simple as sometimes a conversation, an email, a LinkedIn message, and it can be sometimes complex. But that, I believe, when that comes into working smarter, not harder, right? If you're having to chase someone around, it's probably not the best usage of your time versus you reaching out to another individual where they're responsive, right? They're on it. They are enthusiastic about, one, getting to know you. Because in this world of, I call it the microwave generation. I'm a millennial. Some people group us in, call us zillennials. You can get caught in that instant gratification versus waiting on things, right? I'm not going to get preachy, but some of the best things in life happen by waiting. And not gonna get right? If is one of my favorite poems. And the one line I always say to myself, if you can wait and not be tired about waiting. But also too, sometimes that are not but and that waiting sometimes has an endpoint too, depending on your capacity. And speaking of capacity, that's when it goes into burnout, right? Is this building me up or is this tearing me down? And because of, college students, you can be sometimes hypersensitive, right? The hypersensitivity is there because of the vulnerability of being a college student. And knowing the difference between, okay, I'm waiting patiently versus I'm being impatient, right? So you have to put a date on things, put a deadline on responses from people, employers, recruiters. Hey, if I don't receive a deadline by this date, I'm moving forward.
And I love that what you said too, because I think about that in regards to being systemic. It's just being organized and setting up systems that work for you. So I like that idea of waiting, right? So if a student went to meet someone at a career fair, I said, get the contact information and, make sure that responsiveness that, and I like that idea, like feeding the energy, like that's also like you're interviewing the employer. So like if you, reach out to them within the 48 hours that you're supposed to reach out, and they still ghost you. Okay, that's sign number one, right? That's maybe just a sign. And then I like your idea about the patience, right? So then I've had a lot of students say, okay, when do I follow up? And I was like, okay, let's set a deadline for yourself. Like give them a week, fall back for a week, either email them one more time. All right. And then one more week. And then I think that's where you cut your losses. And so I think I love that. And I think it ties into that balance of like, all right, set times that's out. So you're not like super desperate and thirsty, but also understand like they're not feeding you or giving you the energy back. They're not excited to hire you. There's no urgency on them. If they were really cared about hiring, they would have, at least got you the interview by now. So you can read that as a sign of that energy from them and vice versa.
Absolutely. And that might be someone's style, right? They may prefer a more relaxed organization. It's totally off of, like I said, your values, your moral compass. Because, for example, I am in DC today, or this week, and next week I'll be in San Francisco, and I had to have that preconceived understanding that, hey, you are reaching out to people around holiday season. They're not going to return your email until probably the week of the 5th. Yeah. What happened yesterday? I got 6 emails about meetings next week. So one, you have to realize that the world does not revolve around you. We're adults now, right? So one, keeping track of different things as far as deadlines, keeping a tracker of all the different applications that you filled out with the deadline for you personally, because from being a former recruiter, right? You have to go through a systematic process, and they really don't show you behind the curtain until you get inside the organization. More than likely, they have to screen through all applications before they reach out to you. So to your point, a week after applying or speaking with this organization at a career fair or an expo, but also take note of the application deadline that is on the website. Then you can set out, okay, a week or 2 weeks after that application deadline, I know they're vetting applications. So reaching out maybe a week or two after the fact, hi, my name is blank. I'm from XYZ in the third. I'm a senior. I'm a junior. Make sure that one, you make it plain and you state your business, because time is very sensitive. And quite frankly, in this economy, time is truly money. And so any outreach you have to look at that as this is the job interview as well. It's a micro interview. They're still screening me out until you sign an offer letter and you get that first check, or even some organizations, once you surpass that probationary period, you're still interviewing either for a future role or your current role.
And I love that idea. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I'm going to use that word micro interview as in career fair, how you come and talk. There's a mini interview. Your follow-up communication, is it professional language? They're going to read your email. Is it written? Is it, not, what kind of tone? Is it, rude? That's a micro, so I'm going to say, you're basically we always say you're always on, right? Like whether you want to or not, you're being assessed and judged. Sounds bad, but so kind of thinking about that. So I like that micro interview, and I like that your tips, you bring that perspective. I don't know if I got to it. Maybe I'm just all over the place. What was one thing? I know reading more, being more discerning about your relationships. That was something. What is another, maybe what was more something like you completely letting go of in 2025 as you go into 2026?
I would say letting go what was, right? I think we can ruminate on failures. And I do not look at failures as a lost opportunity. You have to understand what's meant for you will be for you, right? It can be today. For example, I submitted, I don't know how many applications to WashU, but after blank application and also outreach, right? Reaching out to people, especially if they are on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm hiring. Well, great. Let me reach out to you and have a coffee chat. Hey, I saw this post and I already applied. I just want to chat with you all to just get the feel of the university, the leadership style. Is it for me, etc. So yeah, letting go of what was, and then also consistency. And so one thing that has been coming up for me over the past week is that, a lot of people, they get into a new year and they're like, oh, new year, new me, new recipe for burnout. Recipe for burnout. When in that time of reflection, one, a day without reflection is a day wasted. So if you're not reflecting on a daily basis, you're already doing yourself a disservice and you're setting yourself up for burnout, because these hard pendulum swings, right? Oh, it's a new year, it's a new me. Well, what's wrong with you just being the same you? Maybe it's your consistency. Maybe it's your group. Maybe it's the way you're showing up. Maybe, you might need to show up to work 15 minutes earlier, 30 minutes earlier. But understand like why you're doing things. Not to preach philosophy, but Dave Ramsey has this phrase that he goes by, and it's, why am I doing this really? Right? There's pause versus, why am I really doing this? Casually saying it. When you say it, why am I doing this really, right? Why am I going to say this to this individual really? Why am I going to wear this really? Why am I going to do this really? Understanding the why behind everything goes a long way and can help you minimize that burnout.
So I want to make sure I get you to where you got to go next. So we're going to just go ahead and elevate to our part of a show called Shot for Shot. And I think this could be a great conversation. We'll follow up, and obviously we'll be engaged. Maybe I'll make enough money to go to NACE conference. I've never been there yet. It's too expensive. No shade, because that junk too expensive. I'm trying to get there one day, but it ain't today. But what shot for shot? You get to ask me a random question. I ask you a random question. You want to go first? I go first.
You can go first.
Okay. Well, then, all right. Why did you come all the way from the Midwest to Howard in the first place? And what do you, and then kind of a follow up, what did you like about the DMV area that when you brought, you moved back, that you're like, yo, I'm bringing this DMV energy or whatever, brought that back?
So when I was a senior in high school, actually, no, it started as a freshman in high school. I went to the National Youth Leadership Forum on CSI and Law. That was actually held in Tysons Corner, Virginia. Mm-hmm. One of the facilitators was a Howard University student, and I looked up to the gentleman. The way he carried himself, the way he spoke, the way he spoke, it wasn't where it's like, okay, he's assimilated. It's more like this brother is intelligent and he's coming authentically. Where do you go to school? Where did you go to school? It was Howard University. Later on down the road, my senior year, an internship but scholarship found me. It was Howard University Alumni Club. Shout out to them. And for the St. Louis Alumni Club, I was actually the first freshman ever to receive the Frankie Muse Freeman. Shout out to the Freedom Fighters, and Wayman Smith, very prevalent Howard alum who graduate or who are from St. Louis, received that scholarship, and that opened up a great opportunity for me. And then the latter question, the DMV area, man, it's the culture, man. It's Chocolate City, man. It's a beautiful thing to get off the Shaw and Howard Metro station and hear go-go music blasting from the Metro PCS store, right? From the mambo sauce on your 4-piece at Ho Chi. It just, man, I'm getting kind of goosebumps talking about DC. And also it's the land of possibility. Last but not least, I was a political science major. I have my bachelor's degree in political science, and I was working with Congressman Clay at that time. And so it was the great mixture of just drive, also admiration, and the culture.
Okay, what's your question for me?
Ooh, this is a hard one. Okay. What's your go-to place for mambo sauce in the four?
Oh, so I mean, I ain't gonna lie. All right, I'm Northern Virginia. I don't, when people say you're from DC area and they say I'm from DC, I do not do that. I actually say I'm from Northern Virginia because I'm not gonna claim across the water. I grew up in Alexandria, Virginia. Like I said, the military. I told you about the military thing. So like, it was funny. I mean, you still can get like chicken and mumbo sauce outside the DMV at carryouts, right? Like there was a place it's called Jackie Chan, which just sounds like the really worst. Off Richmond Highway, Jackie Chan, Richmond Highway, they actually had chicken and mumbo sauce. Someone was surprised, but it's called like China Express out here in Burke, Virginia, that has chicken and mumbo sauce. I don't know if it's authentic. I don't know. I've never dipped it and tried both. So, the DMV does permeate. But I will tell you this right now, and I'm not even gonna fake. I go into the city at most once a month. Man, I'm not going in there. I am suburban thug. You know what I'm saying? I don't claim to live in the city. I don't like the busyness of the city. I definitely like slow fast, right? So you ain't gonna catch me living in complete rural area, but I've been very assimilated, acculturated, whatever you want to call it, to the suburban cookie cutters, same looking houses, chain restaurants, just that way of life. And George Mason, right? My community's outside we call it inside the Beltway, outside the Beltway. Like I like outside the Beltway. Yeah, that's my chicken and mumbo sauce story, man. But I can get some right here in Burke. Shout out to China Express. But I think long and short of it, I think there's a huge community outside of DC, and a misnomer. If you're from Baltimore, that's not the M, right? Just gonna put that out there. If you're from Northern Virginia, you're not from DC. You are from Virginia. Do not claim a city unless you live and grew up in that city residence. So this is the last part of the show. It's called shout outs and plugs. Shout out, show love to anyone you want to show love to. And then plugs. These are ways that people can get engaged with you, the things you're doing, your LinkedIn, whatever you want to share. So shout outs and plugs. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Shout out to the WashU Center for Career Engagement, doing development work. And then also, shameless plug, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Jonathan 1H Segers, Segers. Look forward to having a conversation or coffee chat.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. It has been great meeting you. Thank you so much for making the trek out to the suburbs, out here to Fairfax, Virginia. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that there is organizations like NACE that bring us together. And also knowing that there's other Black men in higher ed, that's always been a reaffirming and positive for me. Positive Philter listeners, if you resonated with this show, please give it a like, subscribe, or whatever, review on Apple or Spotify. As you know, every episode is dedicated to the memory of my late father-in-law, Jeff Kirsch. So please consider donating to the Jeff Kirsch Anti-Hunger Fund. I'll put that in the show notes. And if you're a member of the Mason Nation, please consider sending a Pass for Patriots to send kindness to someone else at George Mason. So thank you so much for listening to Positive Filter, and we're out.
Thank you for listening to Positive Filter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.